Okay, now the last segment of this section is universal generalization. Universal generalization, several rules apply. One, uh, do not, and I apologize for using that do not kind of way, do not universally generalize from a constant. So for example, you cannot say Albert is a fox and then say this. It's like saying Albert is a fox, and then step 2, everything or all things are foxes. Okay, it's a fox. That's wrong. So do not universally generalize from a constant. Okay, and 2, do almost similar to this, but you add one more phrase there. Do not universally generalize from a constant. Listen to this. Arrived at through existential generalization. As follows. 1, like that for all x is f, and then you say that, and then you conclude, I'm going to do this, fx. It's like saying 1, something is a fox. 2, Albert is a fox. Therefore, everything is a fox. Then again, you can see the mistake there. Very similar to this. The only difference is you arrived at FA from a previous line through universal instantiation. Existential instantiation. However, if the line is arrived at through universal instantiation, if you had FA here through universal instantiation, that might be a different story. But again, it will violate this rule. It would violate this rule. And this book will not set you up to make these kinds of mistakes unless you deliberately do it. Okay? The book will not set you up. So universal generalization just happens almost exactly as existential generalization. And if you look at correct uses of universal generalization, I see another mistake in the book. For example, page 455, where he says at the very middle, where it says, first, one cannot generalize from a constant that occurs in a premise of the argument, and says the need for this restriction should be clear. Just because some individual has a property, one cannot infer that everything has that property. Without this restriction in place, our rule would endorse the following. 1 OS, therefore, for all x, OX, and he says that's an incorrect use of UG. And he says this proof is mistaken, like arguing 7 is an odd number, so everything is an odd number. And that's correct. That's correct. I agree with him. But look at page 457. Page 457, where he lists what he calls the incorrect applications. The first one seems to be the exact thing that we see on the example I just read for you on page 455. I don't know why he thinks that that is incorrect. Actually, look at what. Wait a minute. Pardon me. Look at what he calls a correct application. 1 FA, 2 for all x, fx. That's no different from the one that's appearing on the right under incorrect application. So there seems to be a typo there. What I think he lists as a correct application is an incorrect application. That's an incorrect application of UG. If we go by his own standards, the very first one, FA, let me show you which one I am referring to. He has this one, FA, 2 for all x, fx. He says that that is a correct use of UG, but that's the very thing we said is wrong up here. So that's a typo over there on page 457. Just make sure you note that. Okay, having noted those correct and incorrect applications, plus making sure that he has that we identify the typos, let us now go ahead and do the proofs, shall we? Okay, and that's what we'll do. That's what we'll do in the next segment.